Hello everyone once again and welcome back to ThursDev. I'm your host Luke, and today we're continuing our ongoing Make Your Game series with a brief talk about a part of the artistic side of video game development. Today, I'd like to return to something that should have been done before you moved into the production plan phase, honestly, so I apologize for letting this one slip. It's entirely possible that this is something that you'll have touched upon when creating the pitch document, of course, but it's worth talking about as an important step. There are even many development studios that would, though I personally omitted it myself, include a slide in the pitch document devoted entirely to defining this and showcasing reference materials, so today I'd like to rewind a bit and touch on visual style and theming. Regardless of whether you choose to brand this particular aspect of development as a core tenet of your game upon which you'll attempt to sell it, having a consistent, well thought out visual style to the game you create is imperative to creating something right. As a systems designer personally, though not entirely removed from the artistic side of a project, I focus most of my personal development effort on ensuring a tight, ironclad gameplay experience. But gameplay is something that has to be experienced in order to be appreciated for the most part. Your game's art, for better or worse, is the first metric upon which your game will be judged, and if those that see the game in screenshots aren't willing to try the game because they're being put off, there's no chance that they'll get far enough to appreciate the actual play value of the game itself. So you only get one chance to make a first impression, as they say. Some among you may choose to point fingers at games that you find visually unappealing that are still particularly successful and even considered visual achievements. People have been criticizing the quality of the art of Minecraft since the day it was announced as ugly, and yet it spawned an entire genre's worth of copycats, not only of its gameplay, but of its look, and the blocky style it pioneered will easily get a game branded as a Minecraft clone. To which I say, you might find it hideous, but you see it, anything from it, and you know it's Minecraft. Everything is made of cubes, the world, the people, the animals, even the clouds. Add a rounded object to that world and it immediately feels out of place. This is due to visual theming. Whether a conscious decision or entirely by accident, Marcus Person's homemade blocky graphics present a clear, unified visual theme, a consistent art style that make it what it is and make everything within it work visually. So it's not about the quality of the art, though astounding and beautiful art will sell a game, make no mistake. But even if you can't model, animate, or light as adeptly as the artists at CD Projekt Red, or pixel as perfectly as the pixel pushers at D-Pad Studio, you can still make a game that works well within the visual style that you set. To which end, I wholeheartedly suggest that at the beginning of developing your project, if not prior to while creating the pitch, you decide upon a theme that answers the following questions. What is the tone of your game? What's the narrative theme of your game? Should your game be in 2D or 3D? Should your game be stylized or realistic? And if stylized, how should it be stylized? Tone is one of the highest level decisions to be made about your game, since it should probably inform the rest of the art. Know from the start whether your game is comedic or serious, and the brand of comedy or seriousness. You don't have to back yourself into a corner artistically to bend to your tone, but art can convey tone. Team Fortress 2 and Battlefield are very different games tonally, and their art styles help to communicate that. Narrative theme is also important in establishing not only the general art of a game, but can be leveraged when creating the game's interface as well. Look at Warcraft versus its sister product StarCraft, and the usage of obvious visual elements from the narrative theme to tie its interface in with the rest of the game. Juxtapose those two with the flashy esports style of Heroes of the Storm, a game that draws from both, but has its own theming. This once again isn't to say that you're beholden to one type of interface or another, but anachronism should be a conscious decision. If your game's theme is medieval, futuristic, post-apocalyptic, or mad science-y, keep that in mind when considering your art. The question of 2D versus 3D, unlike the previous questions however, is one that will have wide-reaching effects on the rest of the game's development, beyond just visuals. It's as much a design and production question as it is an art one, as the production pipeline for either is significantly different, and even the process of choosing an engine for the game will be affected by this decision. Capability aside, there are certain styles of game that lead themselves better to one or another, much as there are certain mechanics that would entirely rely on one or the other. Your choice of 3D or 2D is also one that will draw one crowd of players and alienate another. The choice of how many dimensions you wish to use, however, is only partially as alienating as your choice of stylistic versus realistic visuals. Civilization 6 was so heavily criticized at the time of its announcement for its choice to lean more on a stylistic representation of its many units and landscapes that I felt compelled to devote an entire week's Serious Sunday on that very topic, and it's been one of my more popular conversations to date. Opt for realism, and you're obligated to devote the time and resources necessary to accomplish it, and that's very difficult to accomplish. Uncanny Valley is a real thing. Opt for the stylism, and you're obligated to establishing a solid baseline as well, and weather criticism from those who dislike that style. Even the amount of stylism you choose will have a profound effect on your audience reach. Within 2D, there's also hand-drawn versus digital, and there are so many varying styles that the same subset of 2D sees Mark of the Ninja, Ronin, Aru's Awakening, and Cuphead alike, and each are distinct but very different. In each case, though, the game's visual elements both work with and augment the games that they're part of. The visual style of your game should be one defining trait of your game, and you should strive to make that visual style work together with the game, an integral part of the game. Art, of course, is entirely a matter of personal preference, interpretation, and dedication to making it work within your content. But regardless of what your art style will be, none of it should be an afterthought. Disjointed, clashing visual themes within the same game can be disorienting, or just cause your game to feel generic or bland, depending on your choices. So whatever those choices may be ready to make them work and commit to them. Make your art work for you. And even the strangest, most amateur art can be a masterpiece, while even the most beautiful, technically well done art can feel off. It's my hope that in a future episode I can bring Matt in to talk a little bit more about art and the process of defining theme and style, but consider today's just my point that defining your art style and establishing a distinct visual theme, one that's unified across the project, will always help to make a game better. Thank you as always for watching this episode of ThursDev. I hope that you found it interesting and entertaining, or at least one of those two, and I hope that you'll consider joining us again next week or checking out our archive of other videos. If you'd like to join our little collective of gamers who both love playing and making games, feel free to subscribe, and YouTube at least might show you our new content as it comes out. Otherwise, thank you as always for joining us today, and I hope that I'll see you next time. Take care.